Hey, what's going on? I'm Joey, and I'm so excited to have JD Duplessis with me today. This is a professional rugby player, a friend who spent some time in San Diego, and now he's playing for New Orleans Gold. JP, what's the biggest difference between South Africa, San Diego, and New Orleans?
Let me tell you, so Cape Town and in South Africa and San Diego is very similar. Beautiful beaches, amazing, love it. New Orleans is a bit different, right? So for us, it was a bit of an adjustment. And the people, the food, the culture, everything makes it great there. And we love it.
Yeah, it's a blend. You have your family really enjoyed spending time with Chloe, being able to hang out at the gym, and fitness is a big part of what we do. But you coming from South Africa and that accent is really a big deal because in New Orleans, the blend, we take everybody's culture and we make it our own. So le bon temps roulé, my friend.
Yes, thank you, brother. Let me tell you something. First of all, I don't know if people know what rugby is. Okay. So first of all, I don't know if they understand my accent. And secondly, I don't actually know what rugby is. So hopefully you'll figure it all out as we go.
Great point. Rugby is a contact sport. You are a competitor. You've traveled the world. You played professional rugby. You've been around media around the world. Now in the United States, the NFL football is let's just say the contact sport of choice. But let's talk about you and your story. I really enjoyed learning about how your father would wake you and your brother up at 5:30 in the morning. Can you really talk a little bit about being 8 years old and not knowing that your dad was training you because you were having so much fun?
Yeah, look, I think from a very young age, my father invested a lot in us. He played professional rugby himself. So I think he had a massive passion to develop my brother and myself. But the methods he used was very much about having fun. It was a lot of interesting training exercises and all he designed equipment, which is still his business today. He actually ended up creating the business and did a lot of youth rugby development in South Africa. So it was really amazing. Look, it was hard work, like everything else. As a young kid, I think at the age of, I remember about 11 or whatever, wake me up in the morning, sometimes at 5:30, whatever, to get my first session done, train before school. And then after school, doing another session. Then after jog, train team. Then after team training, do another session for myself. And then sometimes train before bed as well. The one time he came back, and it was probably around 8 p.m. He got back from work and he woke up, not woke me up, but I barked. I was in bed and he said to me, "Son, did you do your training?" I said to him, "Dad, I did." He said, "All of it?" All four. It was 4 sessions at the time. I said, "I did 3 sessions, but the one is okay because I trained with the team. So it's okay." He said to me, "No, it's not too late. Let's go finish the last session." He said, "Always finish when you start." So that was hard work in a sense, but it was always really the way we trained. We understood what we were trying to achieve. It was fun because of the methods he used. And you really enjoyed it. Plus, we saw the rewards early on in our lives compared to our friends who worked in all the extra training and the exercises and stuff like that. So those are hard work trends of perfect.
No, it really does. And as a father, and for any dads that might be listening, I understand your dad was a pro rugby player.
Yeah.
For dads that maybe aren't professional athletes, what you just said was very pivotal about finishing what you started, going above and beyond, really that second mile. My son, I'm just thinking about the 5 daughters that I have and how I really do need to take my boy into training as a father and teach him that fight, but that grit of fighting to be really good, say sports or athletics or business, whatever it is for our sons. Why do you think it's important to finish what you start? Because it sounds like that was above and beyond just the normal team practice and going to the next level. So as a dad, how do you recommend dads really give that type of a level of devotion to our boys?
Yeah, Joey, I think it's, and first, I want to touch on the point that where you said we train differently and why. I think first of all, we've got to understand to achieve something, but people, or a lot of people that haven't achieved, you got to do something that they haven't done. So a lot of ways that even when I coach and get teams together and work with my son, and I say, if you're just going to be happy with doing what everyone else does and train the same way, just go to the team training and do what they do and finish off, what's going to set you apart? That's a little bit, let's say, business or in sport or whatever. In order to be something special and unique, you've got to do something special. That's unfortunately the way it works. And then touching on the point that you said, finishing what you started, that is one of the biggest things we can teach our kids and ourselves, really, is to really finish something that we start. Because in the end, it's very easy to set up something to do or set out to achieve something. And then halfway through, it becomes tough and we give up. And you never actually achieve the greatness that God has given us, or the gifts that God has given us, because we give up halfway through. So one of the things I think that my dad always explained to me very well was, we got to understand, these are ceiling. We all have a ceiling, right? So for instance, let's take fitness or music. You'll do fitness, you'll keep running. At some point you hit that ceiling. That ceiling is basically your brain telling you, I cannot anymore. This is as far as I can go. The interesting thing is, that's my dad always said to me, when you hit that ceiling, that's when everyone gives up. People who can break through that ceiling find out that they are only halfway after what is the body and the physical capabilities. Those people achieve something great. Those who can break through that ceiling. Everyone can get ceilings, right? But to achieve greatness and something unique and something special, you've got to be able to break through that ceiling. And that is training, a lot of mental training too.
Where did you learn to enjoy the pain and the adversity of pushing yourself to those levels? Because as a pro athlete, the science is real that it translates into other areas like business and life and goal setting. Why do you think it's so important to enjoy that pain of pushing yourself to those limits where you don't have anything left?
Yeah, I think, so I mentioned to you, I really enjoyed working with my dad growing up because he had interesting methods of training. What I didn't mention, it wasn't always easy. It was basically nuts. And I think what taught me to break through that ceiling and go further beyond was my father pushing me in a sense. So we all need someone to push us. We all need someone to help us. I think a lot of times, it's called tough roads. You need a bit of that. And then once you break that ceiling a couple of times, you yourself, you're massively into the fitness and the training and stuff. You know that once you get used to breaking through that ceiling, you become, in a sense, you start enjoying it. You understand? It's not something that, if you go through your first training session and you go run, you're not going to be able to just break through the ceiling on the first time. It's just the way it is. The more you do it, the more you back yourself, and the more you don't give up, keep going, go again tomorrow, go a bit further tomorrow, go a bit further the next day, and further the next day. You keep pushing yourself. In a sense, you get to a place where you really learn to break through that ceiling. You learn to enjoy it, truly enjoy it.
I love that. Now let's talk about who you are as a person. So faith comes up a lot in your conversation. It really just comes out of who you are, you and Chloe. I want to ask you, what was your mom like? Because I heard a lot about your father. Tell me why your faith. Tell me a little bit about how and why you came to believe what you believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So my mom, while I had my dad for the training and pushing us in sport and rugby specifically, my mom was our spiritual guide. She was very spiritual. She had a beautiful relationship with Jesus. The way she lived her life showed the fruits of the Spirit. And we as kids, literally, I can't really pinpoint a point where she had to sit us down and be like, this is the way you need to do. She can live through action, through the way that she's from when she wake up till when she go to sleep. She was always the same. Now, of course, she was human. There were moments that she probably, with the kids, were too much. But like this for me, I know with my kids it is like that sometimes. But she was very slow to anger, very forgiving, very loving, and just the way that she worshipped God was beautiful. She showed so much joy. And look, if we can get real for a moment, life wasn't always easy. My dad was a very hard and driven man, and it wasn't always easy for my mom. financially wasn't always easy for us. And all those things put stress on our family, on my mom and dad's relationship, and on my mom. But all the way that she handled that and went through it, and again, pointing to my dad, the way that he fought through things, even when it was really tough, never gave up, was unbelievable. I think the combination of them two in our lives really formed and shaped who we are today.
That's powerful. They're having that foundation, but also the balance with your father pushing you, and then the pull of God with your mother in faith. How has faith helped empower you to be successful, but also traveling the world, the temptations I can imagine as a young athlete, a professional athlete, especially traveling and being in environments where it's enticing with your fame, right? Because you've had some fame. So how have you balanced and managed to have such a healthy marriage?
I think God takes us through phases in our life, right? So I went through school, I gave my life to God and completely got baptized when I was 12. Sorry, not 12, when I was 12. So it's about to get that senior year. And I was just fully dedicated to God. And then I went to Australia for 2 years, where I left my home, I left my kind of comfort zone. Like I've never been overseas, and I lost myself in Australia in the sense of the other side. I lost my space, and I got involved in all the things that I probably shouldn't have, which is most young kids. And I think that taught me a lot, because in that time, so Chloe and myself met when she was 14, I was 15. We dated all the way till my senior year of school. Then I went to Australia. We broke up in that time. And during that time, I learned a lot of things. First of all, I learned that she's the one. I couldn't forget her. I was just also in love with her. I had this love for this person, and I knew I had to be with her. So God showed me that. The other side is I learned that for the first time in my life, I was earning a salary. I was making good money. I was like professional rugby. You get all the attention. All these things that the world will tell you. The world will tell you that will make you happy. But then at one point, I remember waking up and I was like, I've got everything that I, according to the world, need to be happy. And I have never been this low in my life. Never been this empty in my life. I woke up one morning and literally, I had this feeling of, I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to lie down. I didn't want to live anymore. So it was a very powerful feeling. And I remember seeing my mom. I went back to South Africa to visit my family, and I saw my mom. And one of the first things my mom said to me is, she looked me in the eyes and she said to me, your spirit is dead. Your spirit is dead. I was like a little bit offended by when she said that, because obviously I was not cool when I was all of a sudden I had my own life, my own honey. I'm an adult now. But it got me thinking. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned then was what drove me to that point was the fact that I just gave my life to Christ, and I was trying to live this perfect life. And then I went to Australia, and all of a sudden I struggled to live this perfect life, and I kept falling short. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I'm never going to be perfect, so I might as well not try at all and just enjoy life. And then I literally lost all my faith, and I went back home, and I was watching a sermon with my mom one day, randomly. She was watching a sermon, and I will never forget this. The pastor said, if you believe that you need to be perfect and to be loved, if you believe that you need to live a sinless life to be loved, then you don't believe that Christ died on the cross, because that's the only reason he died on the cross, is because we all fall short. So it's not about how perfect your life is. It's about how close you are to God and your relationship, how close you are to Christ, how much time you spend with him. And that really woke me up, and that shook me, because I realized it's not my sins that are keeping me away from Jesus. It's me. It's my thought that says, it's basically the old lie of, how can you serve God if you sin so much? But that's the whole difference between having Christ in your life and not. You've already been forgiven. now spend time with them. And that will naturally change the way you live. Understand? That will naturally change who you are in more times with God. So that was a big thing to me. So I had to go through that phase in my life to first of all realize who my wife was. God showed me. So when I got back to South Africa, I got back slowly, and it was the best decision of my life. And the second thing is, it taught me that for the rest of my life, I can go through ups and downs. I can go through phases in my life. But whenever I feel like I'm falling short and that's a reminder that it's time to spend time with Christ. Get close. He's still there. He's not going to judge you for that. He's already to give you insight. Get close to him again. So that was a big thing. That experience.
Huge. The past, being stuck in the past and your performance, and hearing your mom say that, I think you're spiritually dead, that really shook you in that time.
Yeah.
So it sounds like faith has really marked your life and empowered you to get out of the way. It sounds like you were getting in the way of getting in a closer relationship with God based on your performance, because really performers and athletes or competitors, business people who are used to habits and success, we can sometimes believe what I call the inspiration, the lies of inspiration. We think inspiration is a feeling that we're going to get if we're inspired or if we're successful or if we're influential. And those vices prevent the virtues of really enjoying and having meaning and really the purpose of our success and the purpose of our influence. And you just articulated your story in a way that people today need to hear, because a lot of people struggle with the past, regret and shame, feeling that they're distant from God, feeling like they have to earn their way to get closer. And what you said was you had to get out of the way and realize you're desperate to just come to him as you were.
Exactly.
And
I had to realize, sorry to interrupt you there, Joey. Exactly. I had to realize it's not on my strength. There's nothing I can do to say. You understand? So that was a big thing. A lot of people, as you say, feel like you have to achieve. You have to live a certain way to be saved, to be loved by Christ, to go in it. But that's not the case.
I want to ask you, what's the biggest challenge, faith challenge, fight of your life that you've ever been through as a family?
This is a very easy one for me. So 2020 was the birth of my son, Luke Miller. And he was a big boy. He was about 11 pounds, 10 pounds 9, the exact. And during his birth, they couldn't get him out quick enough, which led to a very low AFCOS score, which is the score they take. Takes everything into account. A big thing that they said was that he had a lack of oxygen, which could lead to, or which they believe can lead to some brain damage. By the signs that he's shown, for instance, his hands were very floppy, his neck, his leg was floppy, he showed notes, he wasn't crying. And then the AFCOS score, what they take during breaks should be around 7 or 8 times. If I'm correct, in the round, that's got to be fine. And his was like 3, which is extremely low. So all the signs pointed to him having possible brain damage is what they said to us. And I'll never forget, Joey, the first time I stood in the room when the doctor came to tell us, I got dizzy. I actually felt like I fell backwards because I got lightheaded and I fell backwards. As I fell backwards, there's a chair perfectly behind me. I sat in the chair. Like, the funniest thing, so I just literally sat back in the chair and I was like sitting like this. And the first thing I did was afterwards, was phone Chloe's father. She was in a very bad place. And she had been used with him. I was thinking to come to the US as soon as we can, which she did literally like a couple of days later. The second thing I did was started marking notes. Everyone was asking, where's the shoulder and stuff? Why is no uniform on the chat and all this? So I talked to them throughout each and break the chakra, my legs, and I broke the news. And I told you earlier that my mom was the spiritual leader. My dad was never quite much very spiritual, but you are things like my mom who changed and stuff like that.
Wow.
And that day, my dad gave me the best advice that I could get. And he said to me, always remember that as humans, we can only go to a certain point. Then there's nothing more we can do. But always remember, that's when God comes in. That's when God's miracles come in. So he said to me, son, you don't keep your eyes down. You don't listen to the doctors. Keep your eyes up. Because the doctors tell you what's humanly possible. What's godly possible. That was very, very special to me. So since then, I went and said to the same thing, I'm not going to speak live. We're going to keep praying, we're going to keep speaking the name of Jesus. A couple of minutes later, the nurses came into the room with Lucy in an incubator. They're going to take him to a different hospital because he's going to have to get clamp therapy, which is basically a cooling blanket that takes him below 3 degrees below body temperature. And that's to protect his brain. But it won't reverse any damage that's already done, but it's to prevent further damage. And I said to the doctors and the nurses that were in there, do they mind if I just pray for myself? So we laid our hands on it, and we literally just started praying, speaking in tongues, just speaking the name of Jesus, which came a lot to my mind. It's just speak the name of Jesus, because that's where the power is. Through his stripes, through his blood, right? So I kept speaking that. I kept speaking, laying my hands over his little body, touching him and just praying. After that, he went to a different hospital, which was still in San Diego. But Terry still had to stay in the other hospital. So I went to go visit him. 2 days later, Terry went to go visit him for the first time. And as you walked in there was unrest around his head. And all the nurses were running around and panicked. And I asked one of them what's going on. And they said, we showed 3 signs of possible seizures. Now, showing signs of possible seizures was confirmation to them of brain damage. And so I just went to him. I started placing my hands on him. And I started speaking the name of Jesus again. That's all that came to my head. And Raise Hallelujah was another one. The song. So I started singing Raise Hallelujah while this is going on. And they actually asked me to take my hands off him because they don't want me to affect their stuff. But I don't really want to listen to him. Just can pray. And as we pray, I can hear the neurologist saying, sign 1, clear. Sign 2, clear. Sign 3, clear. Sorry. Just because in that moment, I was so tired. It's been 3-4 days of no sleep, just praying, having faith. So that was partially. They cleared him up. I think 2 days later, they cleared him with an MRI. So Lukey today, fully cleared, perfect, big boy, playing soccer, in school, happy. But that was message for us.
3 signs of God's healing. Literally 1, sign 1 cleared, sign 2 cleared, sign 3 cleared. In that moment, as a father and then as a mother, Chloe, I can only imagine the life change of experiencing a miracle where God really intervened. It was very clear that there were signs. You shared with me before this conversation, that it was very dire and it was very real. And it was a week of suffering. You said that Lukey was born on a Monday and cleared on a Friday. So really that experiencing a miracle like that, and really I would almost say, I would imagine myself being in an out of body experience, like not really able to feel or comprehend the weight and the gravity of how much we're not in control and how many people have suffered and have prayed and not seen the miracles that you have seen with Lukey. How has your life been marked differently because you, Chloe, little Lukey, your family, I see it in you in how you have this countenance where your mom said you look spiritually dead, but you look spiritually alive. You have a glow and an enjoyment in your life and the satisfaction of hard work and grit. And really in business, I know you have 2 businesses and you have success. So my question is, how has suffering marked your life? Going through that challenge, and how is God and how have you been different since you received that big time miracle that honestly many people don't get?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for us is we as a family, we always, I don't want to say religious, it sounds very, we always have a relationship with us. So we must specifically, and when in this market for that week was, well, it's a week that I don't want to wish upon anyone. And I know a lot of people are going through that. It was the toughest week of our life. But I've never felt my relationship is such a gift with us. Like I literally, there was times that like I said to you, a couple of hours literally on like in the clouds at time. Almost like it's a surreal feeling, like a spiritual feeling. Like I was finding myself in my knees in front of the TV just playing thousand music songs. It's like since then we have not been the same. I realized, tasting I realized I am not in control. I'm not in control of all the things that I do. Every night before I go to bed, I thank Jesus for one thing. So I can see that my family is under my roof to my healthy, safe. Because that's all I mean. Nothing I did. They don't. So protection.
I always like to say that gratitude is our protection. It's a strong tower in a time where people don't really understand life's 90-10 rule isn't always easy. Life is 90% how you respond, 10% what happened, especially when the 10% is so real. Let me ask you, JP, how have you managed to wait on God? You talked about failing forward earlier on the call, and I really love that as a definition of success. But we sometimes can push too much as high achievers. We can push and go after goals and only find ourselves sitting, whether we achieve the goal or not, feeling like we went outside of our coverage and we didn't wait for that pulling. So how do you balance, or do you have any stories of how you failed in the past in business and how you've succeeded? What was the difference?
So I'll tell this story actually. When I finished, in about 2016, actually 2016, Jerry was pregnant, top pregnant with our first daughter. And I decided to retire from rugby and something together. We would travel for months at a time. It was very barren, our relationship, and I wanted to see, I remember her being very pregnant and I'm in New Zealand, and she's going through all these scans and all. So, something that I didn't really want. I wanted to be a my thing. So I retired. At that time, I said, okay, I want to look, we're going to buy a home. Now you got to imagine, Chloe is very far pregnant. She doesn't have a house, so we're looking for housing, right? So we found the first time. She loved the house. It was close to her first time. And she said, okay, this is the house. Let's put in an offer. So we put in an offer. There was one buyer that was for us. If they didn't get her, it will come down to us, right? The approval came through. We lost the house. Chloe was years and she was young, but it's normal, right? And we were living in a different house at that point, renting short term until we can find a house, right? And I remember feeling in my spirit. I said, Chloe, just remember, God is always in control. Not sometimes, He's always in control. If you're ready, right? So this is not the house. Trust Him, because if this is not the house, imagine what He has in March. Yeah, but we want to settle down. And she said, Mother, right? She's got a baby coming. She wants to see. Just like, we found a second house in that same area. Also close to a family, very nice house. Same thing after. Got it. We're putting off Two people are ahead of us. One person didn't get it. The second person got it. That was too much. Now we're never going to find. Same thing came to my mission. No, God is never in a rush. The economy is always perfect. And reputation. Now we grew up in a town about 30 miles from there. Not grew up, and we went to school together. That's when we met. And that tells me it's Stellenbosch.
In that journey, you found more success and opportunities came as you were patient.
Exactly. That's the thing, because I was, the story that I'm trying to tell you is that in the past, we have had decisions, and I've rushed decisions, made decisions on my own, and haven't gone to God to guide me. I've failed. Miserable. Right? I can tell a lot of stories. I've lost some money doing that. I mean, in a sense, probably a lot of things telling my wife to slow me down and say, no, wait, look at this, look at that. She's like my reason. Right? But the times that we have really offered it up to God, it's trusting, no matter how hard it is. Say, God, this is yours. We will not take a step unless it's yours. Those times it's been unreal. Again, it goes back to you not in control. Stop control. Trust God. Do your best and trust that in you.
What would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lost his soul? Jesus. Oh, love that. Love that.
That is amazing.
I want to ask you, as we finish this first conversation, you've seen places, you've enjoyed athletic at a high level. So sport and competition is a big part of who you are. Family is a big part. I hear the foundation of really fight in you as well. How have you specifically been able to navigate the difference of enjoying where you're at today versus being stuck in the future and wanting more? So how have you been able to be present? Because so many people today, if anyone's listening, they're asking, what's in it for me? Why do I care? Like, why are we talking about these issues that I believe people are suffering with today related to comparing and maybe burning out with anxiety or burning down with boredom, not really working and doing the work that people are really enjoying today. So what habits have you found that have really helped you enjoy that? Like your dad said, enjoy that fight and enjoy that family with all the work and responsibilities and business and marriage. Life can be overwhelming. So what habits specifically, and I'll be very clear on this question because I'm hitting you, with your relationships, your physical health, your mental and your spiritual, what I call RPMs, rotations per minute. Like,
Yeah.
an engine really needs that, but these dashboards are really habits that I have found that inspire people even through adversity. So what have you done that people listening could apply?
Yeah, look, Joey, I think for me, having ambition, godly ambition is really good, right? So again, go back and pray about things that you want to achieve. Sort of place up in your heart that is there called these, right? We all have goals and we all have, those are godly ambitions. Selfish ambitions are doing that. One of the churches here, and the pastor is talking about, you are so lucky because having ambition is not a bad thing. Godly, selfish ambition is what costs most people their families, what costs most people their health, costs most people their happiness. Selfish ambition, right? I can say, don't chase after something that you thought was important and then ended up at the parking lot was the end. So always have that clear vision of, well, sure, okay, you got, I've got my family, I've got my race with God, I've got my family, I've got my sport, I've got my businesses. Okay, great. Those are the ones. Sure. I want to achieve what's the next thing right now. That's how I'm really ambitious, achieving those things, and I'm working really hard. But as soon as I do that, for instance, start studying in with my relationship with my family, then that's how I work with me. Because I always said, if I actually one day wake up in the morning and my little babies don't run to me with love, and my wife don't come to me with love and respect, then I've lost everything. I can have the work, but I've lost everything. My family is because that's my number one. Everything I do, I always weigh it up against Raylan. So at the moment, for instance, my life at the moment, I'm working very hard. I've got involved with NOLA Gold the whole season. We are doing a lot of youth development. I do a lot of coaching, a lot of training. I leave in the mornings at 8 o'clock and I come home sometimes at 8:30 at night. Okay. And then when I come home, the kids are about to go down at night. So that is very important. So at the moment, I'm not sure how I need to balance in science because I can feel in a sense that I don't get to spend all the time that I need to learn and my kids. While I still understand that I need this stuff in order to build my future and understand I'm not from it, so I'm new, so I need to build a future. Understand? And also the support of my family because they know that I need this for them. So I'm very upfront and honest with them and they understand. Like I can't sacrifice them for this because then in the end, again, it's all worth it. So one of the things I think the habits that I've learned to really implement is something that I heard from David Ford. He's a celebration guy. Very good friend of David. He's on Instagram. I was like, unbelievable. The advice he gives is so good. But he said that one day, and I'll never forget this, I said, you become ungrateful when you become forgetful. You become ungrateful when you become forgetful. So in the mornings and at night, meditate on what God has done to you. Meditate on what you've had rather than what you've done. I might not have what this person has next to but God's got a different place and nothing. But be grateful for what you have. Because again, ambition is a very good thing. But selfish ambition, the biggest thing.
Want to read? Priorities are important. It sounds like if your principle is faith, family, then the fight of success, right? Fighting for your family.
Sure.
If your heart is in the right place, your posture, which means your behavior, is going to line up in alignment. Now, there are seasons where your priorities, your responsibilities, I should say, get in the way, or for a season, you have to have a responsibility to achieve, to make the plays, to show up and put the hours and the grit in. But in order to keep it balanced, it sounds like you're principle centered and you're centered on your relationship with God, which then gives you access to your wife, which then gives you the ability to be present with your kids and prioritize your life around the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me that responsibilities.
So the one thing that you touched on there is so true because it all starts with my faith. It all starts with my foundation, my values. Okay, so I've given through God, I know what my values and my foundation and my faith. I know, okay, listen, my family is extremely important to me because the closer I get to God, the closer I get to my wife and my family. It's almost like that triangle, right? You know that thing of the triangle.
As you're far away, husband and wife are so far away. And then as you get closer to God, the husband and wife get close. I love that triangle.
I've seen that over and over again in my life in all aspects. One thing I don't want to say is yes, there will be phases in life, right? For instance, my phase at the moment is I've got to put in these hours, work hard because I need to look after my family. And I've got a real ambition or desire to build rugby, not start and to grow with the grow. So I have that. A balance in life is another thing that I see. But I have a good balance, right? So if you get someone, times that you might be getting towards the one side compete, right? You don't have a balance. Then you flop the other side. You don't have a balance. A good balance in life is also something that I find. When I do have time with my kid, we still invest. When I do, if I'm doing coaching, I still invest. Right?
Fully focused helps you balance. I found that I've not been balanced with 6 kids. I don't think it's really possible when it comes to that. However, capacity, right? If my capacity is in the right alignment, to your point, fully focused on what you're doing in the moment. That is wisdom, my friend. As a captain, last question, I lied to you. Tell me, you've been a captain, you've led men, you've led pro athletes. What have you found? What is your definition of leadership that you have found has given you the most impact and results when leading very ego-centered men, I would imagine?
No, I think that's something we all struggle with in terms of, like, in terms of captaincy that I've said before and all that, the one thing I learned was the times that I try to say something was less absorbed by the times that I showed something. So good leaders, they do. I love leaders that speak with their actions. That's one of the things there's been times that I haven't been a good captain, and there's been times that I have, but it's all about the process of learning. But I would 100% say that for me personally, the captains that I really admire are captains that don't say much. They do.
Well
Actions
said.
speak louder than words.
That is everything, I believe. Hey, powerful conversation, JP. I really enjoyed our friendship. I always enjoy sharing insights and wisdom with people and leaders, always sharing other people's success, because that's my inspiration, no matter the level of the goal. And if you're interested, anyone watching this would love to encourage you to follow me on all social, especially LinkedIn, Real Life with Joey. I enjoy writing weekly articles and releasing these video virtual interviews because I think influence-centered elitism doesn't work anymore, but inspiration from God empowers you to enjoy the virtues of influence and success and those things that we all need. So thanks so much, JP. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Joey, thank you so much. And I would say this, absolutely form part of this community. Follow you, because for me, I find the times that we do get together and follow the right people that guide us and give the right advice and learn from them, you become a part of big communities. And this is really a good thing you're doing, Joey. So well done.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Matt. We'll speak soon.